Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everybody in the audience for joining us today. And I'm sorry to have to ask you to leave, but we're going to convene the meeting and then we're going to go into closed session immediately. Uh, Welcome. Call this meeting of the New Shoreham Town Council to order. Today is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. It is 3:02 p.m. We're convened. Can I have a motion to go into closed session? Is there a second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. We're in closed session.
see them, there's no droppings, they haven't eaten anything on their property, so hopefully I'm not infected by more ticks.
I have a dog who brings pieces home
Oh, really?
Oh, wow, yeah.
every day. I don't know, somebody has shot a deer, killed a deer somewhere near me because she saw me. Oh, an elbow. This is very new. My dog is going to be 11 this summer. She's not done this before.
Yeah.
Oh, yesterday, yeah, I can tell you where every carcass is on every walk that we go through, and yesterday it was.
Oh, do you want this one?
It's a single carcass.
I did share some, yeah, well, I got this one only shared.
This was over, I went to look at that K and H property that. Because of the shellfish people. It's over in the
Yeah.
harbor. But don't go with the dog, there's a dead seal there. And it's well advanced, yeah.
She doesn't
It's so smelly.
She doesn't bring home. She brings home bones.
It's like, I want to lick it, and then then she wants to lick me afterwards.
Of course.
But it
Disgusting.
was a strange thing. The upper part of the leg was completely bare and dead. The low, it was a joint that was still moving. The lower part was sort of gray, and the hoof had hair on it.
Crazy.
So it's like half of it going buried as hell. The dog is up to. I don't have any feeling.
It's having an awakening. It's having an awakening at 11. They've never done that kind of thing?
What?
It had never brought home bones?
My dog?
Yeah, so it's having an awakening of some sort.
If I take my
Tastes
dog's
bad.
collar off, she has one of those satellite collars. If I let her out without the satellite collar, she comes back with other used toys
Oh.
and
No,
bones.
she's actually, well, I've got a lot of land and she's usually pretty good. But somebody said there's a whole stash of dead deer somewhere over behind, I don't know if that's true or not. And I'm not going to look.
Four minutes, Margie.
That's why I paid for.
How'd you get that scar on the back of your head, Tristan?
Cracked it open Water Street.
Oh, really? Jesus.
Hit it hard.
That must have bled.
Needed staples.
Yeah. There's nothing like, you know, you can have this, you know this as a bald man, it's like,
Oh,
you,
constant.
petrol, and they bleed like crazy. There have been times I've been out mowing and I don't even realize it, and I come in and Susan's like, what happened? And like, you know, the blood is running down
Oh,
my
neat.
face.
Top of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's done most of the work. Yeah, it's, you know, we had to see something around it, so get to Judy comes up and help me with that. I don't have quite as much to say energy that I used to have, and so like, oh, Judy, let's do this, well, this will be fun. She goes, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna talk on
They don't want
All right.
Probably never saw this. That is my yard.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful
It
picture?
was 1953.
Ah,
The house above it,
yeah.
White House, that was Hobie's.
Oh, really?
My front yard.
No kidding. That's a great picture. Yes, it is. It actually is, it's a touching picture in a lot of ways.
You know, we didn't take pictures. My mother took some in the fall and a Christmas card, and that's like
Yeah.
one of that. My brother's scholar, of course.
That is-
The land is so different. And my shed, my big shed.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's fallen down.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We did have a closed session at 3 on collective bargaining. Can I have a motion to seal the minutes for that meeting? And a second, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Just to tell the audience here and online, a vote was taken at the end, but will not be repeated, which we can do under the what do we do that under? The Open Meetings Act. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank God Millie's here. Our first item is Margie Cummings is going to give us an update on behalf of the Old Harbor Task Force to discuss the landscaping concept plan for Mary Day Park.
For the south end of the
South
Mary,
end, yeah.
south end of Mary
Yes.
Park. Just want to give you a quick update on what we've been doing. We've had Grandscape work with us this winter to come up with a concept plan. And we've been working with the chamber because part of their grant is going to help fund the park improvements. So we have had a lot of input. I think you'll be very happy with the plans. The two things that are different from what you had originally a year or so ago is the walkway coming in. We moved a few feet to the north so that there will be more room for the plantings that will block the cars that park along the entryway to the freight office.
This is where
And
the serpentine. kind of
this is the
sidewalk is?
serpentine, yeah,
Gotcha.
kind of I did an L-shaped
Yeah,
originally, is what we talked, this is kind of a half circle. And it's also several feet further north so that we could leave the bicycle racks, which require a lot of room as people bring their bikes back and forth, putting them into the bike racks. We'd love to get rid of the bike racks, but we understand the town really does need to have them here. So we are planning accordingly, and eventually, if we have enough money, we will upgrade the bike racks, but that is
Yeah.
not part of the plan right now.
Yeah.
The other change that, minor change, is that the patio is going to have engraved bricks in it. We've been inundated with requests for engraved bricks, and we thought, well, this would be a great way for the fundraiser to help pay for the bike racks down the road.
terrific.
So when you look at your plan, that you have the patio where the star is, those will be bricks. The rest of it will be the bluestone, which is what you were told originally. The path will be bluestone, just like you have at the Nicholas Ball Park. So all of that has not changed. The benches will be moved just slightly so that they will fit within the circle, but they will be still pointed the same direction. 3 of them will sort of look toward the water, 3 of them will look toward town, just as they do now. They'll just be a little bit closer and part of the brick for the bluestone patio, so that it is more of a cohesive unit. All of the plantings are, at the request of CRMC, are approved from the Rhode Island list of plants that are approved for Seaside. And they're listed for you on your sheet there with the notes from the landscaper architect. And Mike Shea negotiated with CRMC, and the area that got mowed out that shouldn't have been has been approved to just grow back without us having to put in plantings, which saves us a lot of money. So that was very gratefully appreciated. As far as the time frame, we had hoped to start this spring, but we've run into, as usual, with some problems. The fabricator who is doing the base for the Arc of the Sun dial has been ill, and he's behind schedule. So while I have the sundial and I have the plaque, I do not have the base. So we are holding on that. Hopefully he hoped to have it the 1st of May. I've heard nothing, and today is the 1st of May. So
Right.
I also was honest and told them that we probably wouldn't put it in until the end of August or first part of September because of all the tourists. And frankly, Turtle and crew have nowhere to park their trucks that would be out of the way. So
Right.
at that point, I think we will do pretty much everything starting mid-September through probably the end of October.
Terrific.
So that's it. Have you got questions, concerns? Oh, and I've also run this by Mike Shea so that the facilities manager knows what's going on.
Terrific. If there are any questions, that'd be great, but I will say, just thank you. So I think this is going to be terrific.
Oh, well,
Quite
thank you.
beautiful.
It's a pleasure. We've been having a lot of interesting discussions
Yeah.
this winter on how to include this, that, and the other thing. So, and we're very happy to do the engraved bricks this year. Unfortunately, we'll have to raise our price just like everybody else because I've checked with the engraver and his prices are going up again, just like everybody else.
We've had that experience lately too.
So. Oh, how are you now? I can't say I'm awfully surprised to hear that. Anyway, I think we'll probably sell them for $250. That's what the
Great.
committee has approved. And I will, once you all are happy with what we're doing, I will go ahead and start publicizing that.
Wonderful.
Great.
Any questions for Marky?
I have a couple.
Great.
Good, go ahead.
So, I have a couple questions. This patio area, like 2/3 of it is on one lot, 1/3 is on the other lot. Does that present any? I'm
No,
not familiar
I
with-
brought that to you all several years, when,
Okay,
and nobody had a problem with it.
It's a good
not
question.
something I'm familiar with, something straddling.
Yeah, I did bring that to you guys originally,
Yeah.
and the actual sculpture will be on the, what I call the old Phelan lot. The part of the patio and a couple of the benches will be on the other, which I think is 146. And that's, you would never know if you didn't have
No.
your plat in front of you.
I just wasn't sure fundamentally if it was.
Yeah, no, I brought that up and the committee did not feel that that was a problem.
So my other question was about the walkway that says it's going to be bluestone.
Correct.
Is that gonna present any sort of a trip hazard? I know it says it's gonna be on an incline consistent with ADA, but,
Turtle will do that pretty much the same way. Yes, there is a slight incline, but it's not near, we went out and worked, it's not nearly as deep as we thought it would be. So I don't anticipate that being a problem. It may be a slight grading required, but you would grade to put a flat level with the sand and so forth underneath it anyway. So I think Turtle will be able to adjust that without it being a problem. There will be plantings on either side of it, so they will force themselves to walk on the pathway, or they'll be further over on the grass, and I don't see that that's going to be a problem. And the bluestone pathway will basically use the same kind of material that we've used in the
and
Nicholas
does-
Ballpark.
Does ADA require a railing or?
No, it's not high enough to require a railing, and Turtle believes that he can make it lower than what that concept is showing. So, and obviously hands-on, once we get into it, we can adjust it slightly one way or the other, depending on what this is a concept. It's not totally, well, yes, he did do the railings, but we're not required. We will put plantings if it's several feet, several inches higher, so that it's obvious that there is a railing or a ridge about this high off the ground. That it would have plantings behind it, as you can see in the drawing.
Great. And then the only other question I had is, because it's a town project, has it gone out to bid or will it go out to bid?
It does not need to go out to bid because I'm giving it to about 5 different people to work on because of the specialty items. There's really only one person who does brick engraving. Another person is doing the 3 people are doing, different people doing the sundial part. Turtle will do the plantings and the engraving. So no, we do not. We're keeping it down so we don't need to go out to bid. So I was told.
None of that needs to go out to bid, like installation and landscaping doesn't need to go to bid?
I probably shouldn't participate in this conversation. The funding, it's my understanding. I need to look into that. I don't have any. answer.
Yeah. As I said, I haven't had to before, but if we do, then Turtle is planning on doing it, but we could always get a bid from him if we have to. He's submitted because it's being paid for by the chamber, he has already submitted his bids to the chamber office, so they have that.
Well, it's a dollar limit, isn't it? Where you have to go out to bid.
Or public money, but this is,
Well, I'm using clarifying.
Right.
Or any kind. So it's splitting it up as.
The private money on a public piece of property doesn't need to go to bid.
Even if it's split up, it may not even meet those threshold.
but I think that's right.
Just a question. I'm not.
Yeah, as I said, it's because there are half a dozen, and Mike Shea will be doing a lot of the installing because it's done the same way that you do the monument in a cemetery, and he's experienced with that. So as I said, I've got a whole bunch of people who are involved in this.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
Thank-
so much, Margie.
good, thank you.
All right, it's aquaculture day. Why don't you guys just pull up chairs, I think. Want to just pull up chairs? Yeah. That's why we got this table. Here's the microphone.
All of us?
Yes, come, anybody who wants to come. Would you rather we didn't do that?
I'm uncomfortable with this whole topic because I have nothing. I have no idea.
Well, that's the idea.
Maybe they didn't pick up.
There's nothing in it.
How are you?
I mean, you don't have a letter or a map or nothing.
There isn't a map. This is pursuant to a conversation that we had earlier this year where the aquaculture, Catherine and Sadie were applying for a grant that's available. And we sent a letter. They've been doing a lot of work, a lot of due diligence, if you will. We had a meeting last week, I think it was, with Kate and representative of the land trust. And we all, I had reached the conclusion that we were at a point where the council needed to be briefed on status. So that's what it is. There isn't a map. There isn't really any information beyond what these guys are going to impart to us. Wonderful. That'd be great. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we-
Talking to it.
Was it January or February that we went over this whole thing?
It was in January.
January, I think it was.
Okay, so just to sum it up, we got the opportunity in late December to apply for a grant that is a one-time only grant. It's called the Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure Grant. These are federal funds. They're being administered by the state. It's a response to the supply chain issues that happened during the pandemic. And what they're trying to do is give some money to mid-chain suppliers to strengthen the food system so that when the next catastrophe happens, our local food system will be stronger and we won't be subject to those issues that happen with the, big companies and, national shipping. So it's a one-time only thing, and we formed a co-op in order to apply for it. There's 25% match, but basically we applied for $570,000 to build a commercial dock for offloading of ocean aquaculture products. We have 4 farms on the island, and we've had many meetings with Marianne and with council members and with landowners and Kate has facilitated all the introductions to everybody. So we're at the point where we have found a location. We did try with the land trust. They had other plans for the spot that we looked at there. And they had offered us potential use of the K&H property, but that involves an easement with the boat basin. They're not quite interested in doing that, but we've got this great spot in front of Dick's Fish, which is adjacent to the town boat ramp. And we're at the point where we have to respond to the grant committee. They would like to see some hard evidence that we will have a place to put this if they give us the money. And another thing that they'd like to know is, how is this not going to turn into a yacht dock? Is it going to be, perpetually a commercial dock, and questions like that. So here we all are. Jess can speak to their position as, Deadeye's, what they'd like to do there. It's kind of a tricky spot. There's a lot of permits. Obviously, CRMC, DEM, Army Corps, the whole shebang. So kind of looking for some official support from you guys to move it along to the next phase.
Can I just, before you go, have you had any preliminary conversations with all those groups that this could even get off the ground?
They want to see really specific things before they come in.
So
And we don't.
It's a chicken and egg
Yes.
scenario,
Yes.
yes,
They want-
yes.
Yeah, and that's the position that we're in as property owners, so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could I ask you to? just-
But yeah, will you just use that, Jess, please? Thank you. You have to hit that button so the green light is on.
Thank you.
It's on.
Great,
Can you hear me?
yes.
So Catherine and Sadie approached us and in order to explore the proposition of this dock going in, and the location on our property that makes the most sense is behind the fish market, adjacent to the town boat ramp. What's really important to Catherine and Sadie is drive-on access. The only location on my property that makes sense for that is down the boat ramp and then onto a potential dock that essentially runs parallel to the channel. It's going to need dredging. It's going to need engineering. It's going to need quite a lot before, just in terms of the engineering and the site planning, before it even goes to CRMC, to the town. This is where that chicken and the egg comes in, right? The grant committee wants to see certain concrete things. nobody has the money to pay for some of those concrete things until the
Right.
grant money comes in.
Yes.
So my main concern, we obviously think it's a great project. We sell Catherine and Sadie's oysters in the
Right.
market all summer long. The market itself, like where the restaurant feels kind of like a tourist-driven machine, the market feels like a community endeavor and
Yeah.
has since we opened the doors
I agree.
back there. So Perry sits here today with us as well. He brings us a ton of our fish all summer long.
Yeah.
So to have a dock that's dedicated to local providers in kind of this industry on Block Island that is maybe not as prevalent as it was years and years ago, but to kind of have the infrastructure in place to bring that back and to really support everyone is important to all of us sitting here. I come from a family that has some experience building docks. We did a great partnership with the town years ago for the dinghy dock. We kind of have a history of partnering with the town to get projects that sometimes feel impossible. We make those things possible in a partnership. We're in the middle of doing the visitor center in Old Harbor. So
Right.
I think, you know,
Yeah.
as a family, we have a history with the town. I don't know how we're going to do this without a certain level of town support. And I don't know exactly how that should look, what the mechanics behind it need to be. But I can say that for the dinghy dock, we tried, before we went with the town, we tried to get that permitted through CRMC as a private entity and got shot down in the preliminary determinations. And then eventually partnered with the town and it sort of, it was a lot of work, but at a certain level, it sailed through town approvals, sailed through CRMC approvals. And that was a lot of meetings with just me, and the town manager at the time was Ed Roberge. I spent
Yeah.
hours at Ed's desk, just kind of like going through the
Figuring it out, yeah.
nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
We were formal partners in that we leased it to the town. The town now owns the dock. I don't know how far down that we need to go, but in order to really tackle this and feel like we have a shot, I think that we need some kind of point person through the town to talk this through. But before even that, we need the support
Sure.
from all of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit on the head. What for me has been kind of what's bounced around in my head, which is I don't think there's any question around the conceptual support. It's, you know, sometimes when you look at these things, you're sort of like, oh my God, how are we gonna blah, 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 you know? And I don't think that should be an obstruction. It's just, you know, my own way that I ruminate about these things. So from your perspective, or your guys, you know, all of your perspectives, you would like us to have a point person, whatever, Kate, Marianne, Mike, Tom, whatever, to sort of identify what the challenges are and figure out responses to them? Is that?
Certainly that, and then I think that there needs to be an open discussion about how specifically that support presents itself when we are actually writing an application to
Right,
CRMC.
Right.
Are we partners? Does
Yes,
the town
right.
have some
Gotcha.
kind of ownership? Does the town have a lease? Or I do worry about if it's just Catherine and I in front of
Yeah.
CRMC.
Yeah, I
you
get
know,
that.
When we
Yeah,
put the
that's a
dinghy
really good
dock,
point.
it was
Yep.
myself and the town manager
Yes.
sitting in front of
Yes.
CRMC. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Do you have a ballpark of what the cost is associated? So I heard 570 is the grant. What would the dock, based on the dimensions, you roughly, I know not perfect, but ballpark?
Well, the quote that I got for a 75-foot rated, we're looking for a rated dock and you can drive your truck on it. 75 feet of rated dock, which we might not need that much of at this location, was less than 300,000, including the engineering and the permit. And then we put in quite a bit more in our request for bringing in utilities, thinking that we were gonna go to a site that didn't have them. We might need to bring some utilities from the road, just because you guys don't, you know, you're at capacity where you're at. So there's quite a bit of money that we put in for that, so we can work with-
Would this be solely for onload and offload, or would it also be for processing?
We're looking at it. Another part of the grant that we asked for was a container with a walk-in and an ice machine, because, you know, time to temperature refrigeration is critical
Yeah.
to the shellfish. And we're looking at alternative sites for that. So that would be a separate part.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Any other questions?
So we're
I guess-
parallel to your building. Are we unloading on the south side or the north side?
East side.
East.
No, the trucks,
We'd be accessing the dock via the boat ramp.
the other boat ramp.
Onto probably some kind of
Right.
fixed ramp that takes that off of the boat ramp.
Yep.
And then you kind of get into, depending on how much dredging you do there, then you've got the option to go into maybe like a floating dock situation. So the truck pulls down so far and then there's a floating dock for boats. Potentially, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having, this is like on the way to the new west side, so I'm having trouble. The road goes between Smugglers and Deadites.
The boat ramp.
Yeah, that's what we're talking, when you say
Yeah.
the boat ramp, you mean the road, the ramp, though.
Sure.
And the dock is going to be, as you go, if you're coming off of Ocean Avenue, turn onto that. Is it going, so then the left?
Hard left, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's, I think. And this is gonna work with the channel.
Well, that's the big
That's-
question. That's
yeah.
gonna come into the dredging and the engineering. But ideally, yeah, we can bring the deep water back far enough so that there's room for a dock. That lower riprap that's exposed just at low tide, it's gonna have to move. And we're gonna have to bring that all back closer to the shore. And then put a dock in and have enough room to squeak the boats in alongside of the channel.
Widening and deepening that channel is only gonna help.
Yeah.
The interfunds.
Yeah, was a
It's a
project from early 1900s. Only part of it was done way back. It's an Army Corps project. Well, obviously you have people who are more expert at this than anybody else. They've all-
We have a person who's more expert than everybody else, Kate.
Yeah. They built up. Everybody. you know, crowds look at it.
In theory, but we are not experts, you know, we would hire an engineer, but again, it's sort of this chicken and the egg. We're not sure that we wanna hire the engineers and do the expensive work that it's gonna take to do all this until we get the grant money. We can't get the grant money until we feel solid with the town. So
Well, they've got a great track. If that going right.
we try.
I mean, really, that was, when that happened, that was, I think it was, 2019, I'm sorry. I think it was 2019 that, the dinghy dock was open, and, we thought this is going to be the great first step in public-private partnership, and the bar is really high, and everybody's gonna wanna get on board and play nice, and then COVID happened. And, so I guess we could go back to, let's pretend COVID never happened.
So can you just educate me on what took place there? Because I'm not aware of how that worked and what transition, because I think that would give me more context to this conversation.
For the dinghy dock?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in, well, we probably started it in 2018, the planning of it. There was a great need for dinghy space in the town, and the town didn't have a place for it. We had previously tried to get permitted for a dock in that exact area. We were approached by the town to engage in a public-private partnership at the time and agreed wholeheartedly. And it was a lot. We paid for the dock, the engineering. There was no grant involved. So that's a difference in this situation. We paid for all the engineering for the actual dock building. We set up a lease with the town so that technically you're leasing that property that the dock sits on. And then we also then at the end of the project sold the dock itself to the town for like $1, so that the ownership would transfer. And then you're responsible for maintaining it. Kate hauls it out every winter. The liability is on the town, but that we put the money behind it and then also lease the land every year, pretty much indefinitely. It's gone. I mean, since those long meetings to try and get it permitted, I have not had to sit here about anything for the dinghy dock. You know, it all went really smoothly once the ball was in place, but the CRMC in particular permitting is an extensive process. And I don't think that without sitting there with the town manager, without knowing that we were both on the same page, we gave the presentation together. If it hadn't been for that, I don't think that it would have been permitted so smoothly.
Thank you. Conceptually, I love the idea. I mean, I'm a very visual person, so I need to go down and look and just get a better sense of it, but with what we know at this point, I love the idea.
Kate, do you have any thoughts or questions we're not asking or this?
No, I mean, we were already planning on dredging. I have monies in the budget to dredge hopefully this fall, but if this project comes further along and we can wait and dredge properly for this type of project, I would be willing to hold off on that.
Yeah.
But I fully support it. I think it's a great idea.
I think that key piece too with the town support on some level is this question that Catherine brought up of we need to make sure that you're not going to pull yachts in, right? Like this idea that exists that when you have a private entity involved that we're gonna try and cash in on it and pull mega boats in or something
Right.
like that. That's absolutely completely not what we are in it for. But having you know, a government body behind you saying, no, really, they're not
Yeah.
gonna do that. Is important once we're sitting in front of
Right.
CRMC, when we're sitting in front of the grant committee.
Sure.
Well, again, contractually, that would be written into it. It's not
Absolutely.
we're gonna trust you, so I don't see any issue with that.
And there is, you know, and as I said, there is a substantial track record there.
Yeah.
Sadie or
That
Chris,
isn't so isn't
Or-
so old that everybody's forgotten it.
You want to say anything?
Not really.
All right, I'm marking this down.
I want to say, I know two people, four engineers.
Yeah. Sadie, anything? About from the public, anything? Any comments?
So can I say something? Like,
Yeah, please.
So I think like my issue here is I don't have any materials. Like I went to go, like Neil said, I wanted to walk this yesterday. I went down there, I had no idea what I was looking at. I didn't have anything written, anything drawn, like no sketch on the back of a cocktail napkin, nothing. Like, so it's kind of hard to come, and now I have a better idea. I can go down there and look at it, but I mean, we can't take a vote at a work session anyway, but I'm just saying, like, next time we see you guys, I'd love to see some better, like,
I think that's where that point person, I didn't know that this meeting was happening until yesterday in the evening. So, I mean, I would have been happy to supply a site survey. I can do all of those things. I just didn't know that we were going into work sessions. So if we can try and free up the chain of communication, then I think that we can get a lot of material in front of you.
Marianne, who's the best? Should it be Kate
Yeah.
to be the town's point person on this? And then, and
Now, what's the deadline on your grant?
2 weeks ago.
Oh. Is it really? But
Yeah, they wanted to see an actual lease and we let them know that we were still working on the actual location. And, you know, let them know that we were working with you guys and.
Did you have an extension? or-
Yes, we had a little extra time, right, Sadie? They want to make a decision.
Yeah,
soon.
they make a decision in May. And we don't have an actual date for an extension, we just keep, informing them of
that you're working on it. Yeah.
the town, so again, the meetings that happen.
They'd love to see something in writing from everyone.
And in a perfect world, is it you have the money if everyone's aligned, or it's still going through a very detailed process where you may not get the money?
We may not get the money, but we have a really good chance. We have a really good
Yeah,
chance. There are very few applications.
Okay.
And we hit all the boxes for.
When this first came up in December, Christmas Eve day, I think. We actually had a call with the woman who's in charge of this grant, and she was very anxious for these guys to do an application.
We do need to see something.
So let's talk about that. What would that look like? A letter from the council or from the council saying, Keith, send a letter, or Marianne, send a letter that says,
Talk to Kate.
we're really pleased to hear the presentation. We look forward to working on that site. Is that, I'm just curious about
I think letters of intent from, that you've already got a letter of intent for us, right? And then one from the town council, I think that would go a long way. Don't you say that would be, yes, a good start. A very good start.
do you mind sharing yours?
No, mine is like a lease letter. of
Oh,
intent
gotcha,
and
okay.
less like a warm and fuzzy letter of intent.
Gotcha.
Which we already sent with our application. We got.
Yes, yes.
Sent that in. The application.
Right.
And then, and from a town expense perspective, so it would be nothing upfront, it would be long-term maintenance. It becomes the town issue where, because if there's no cost to the town, it becomes fairly easy, you know. Given the budget, I'm just concerned down the road, who maintains this and how does that work? So the dinghy dock sounds like the dock transferred to the town to maintain, so have you thought through that piece of it?
Well, we weren't gonna ask the town for any money up front. We were,
If I recall correctly, there's a match that's required,
yes,
but the match can be in kind.
yes, 25%.
So our lease would be the match in the county of it for the 2-year project period.
And in addition to the dock, are we looking at any changes to the boat ramp?
We're looking to get another boat ramp over at the other facility. On St. Pete property. So, no, we're not looking to do anything with the ramp right now.
I just wasn't sure, like with this, if
And this
you're
would
talking about
impact-
moving the shoreline back and like, is the boat ramp still gonna function as a boat ramp?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
David?
David Lewis, so speaking of the boat ramp, it's premature to talk about it much today, but in the next when that visualization or conceptualization comes back to the council, I would like the team to make sure that they've addressed the boat ramp utilization combined with the utilization of the trucks for the commercial aquaculture. And how all that is gonna back and fill and turn around with all those limited spaces. And still allow the boat ramp to function as it does today, because it isn't very functional today, so that's not, that's a little. And I would just caution that we can't make the assumption that that next boat ramp will ever get built. And,
Right.
where all that money comes from. So
Yes,
it's better that we plan for.
that to be the
sustain
boat.
both of those activities in the same space with the adequate freedom of motion, including vacuum and filling and turning around trucks from two different enterprises.
It's a good and important point,
It's
David.
too early to talk about it.
Yep.
No, we'll be able to see that. Thank you.
David is absolutely right that,
Sorry, Catherine,
no, go ahead.
but they're already all using the ramp. as it is
Exactly,
with The trucks
exactly.
and all of their equipment, so it would actually hopefully move their equipment off of the ramp.
Yeah.
Onto their boats, onto the dock.
Agreed, you know, this is not the full cold water.
No.
But the reality is that driveway and the turn, I can't sit here today and visualize how a truck of any size is gonna turn around in those spaces, including without impacting the fish markets business and the rest of the property that's not part of the plan. That is my concern.
You're absolutely right. The boat ramp is overcrowded and not functional and unsafe, and that's part of the, our drive to get this done. We cannot continue to live off of the boat ramp
Right.
as it is.
So let me suggest an approach here to the council. We have at least two members, probably five, who want to take a look. This will drive Millie crazy, but can we put an item on our agenda for Tuesday? Meeting Tuesday?
Yeah.
That is a discuss and act on sending a letter of support. And then, and I will, before our meeting on Tuesday, work with these guys on a draft of what that letter ought to look like. And we'll have that before us and can talk about that. Does that work for you guys?
Just one thing, is the Dean dock, is that a yearly lease or is that a 99?
It was, I want to say, a 20-year lease
So we renew it every year.
with an option. Well, you automatically had 20 years. And then we renew it after that.
And then the cruise ship, it's.
That's. I could pull it for you though, and well, yeah, I'm sure you have it on.
Are people square with that approach that I suggested? Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay.
And I think kind of what we want to know too is I know you all are in the midst of this much bigger harbors plan at the property that you have, and is it a question of because we're doing this comprehensive plan, we can't also do this? Or can it be an and situation? We are putting this plan together and it would also be great to support this dock in this location. That's kind of one of the roadblocks that we've been struggling with, is because this would not be on that property, because you haven't done the comprehensive plan, can the town still support in a very real way this other location? So that's kind of a question, I think.
It's a completely different use than what the other public dock was going to be for,
Yeah.
so we all have to realize that this is gonna be a commercial dock.
Who's going to be in charge of the pellet gun for people who tie up their dinghies there?
Oh.
I didn't mean shoot people, I meant the Zodiacs, just for the record.
We'll put the sign.
Yeah, right, absolutely. This was very helpful, really helpful background.
Can I just
please.
ask though, but before Tuesday, that we have something in our packet that's like a rough drawing or just some idea of what, like visual idea
Sure.
of what the plan is. Just we have financial town meeting on Monday. It's a really busy week, like.
Yeah.
With the site plan with a
Just-
hand-drawn indication.
Yeah, it
email?
doesn't have to
Okay.
be anything fussy, but like I said, when I went down there yesterday, I was like, I gave up. I walked K and H because I thought that was the plan,
Yes,
and then I went
yes.
over to the other place, but like without any idea, there's not, like,
Yeah, of course.
I could circle the whole pond, so it'd be good to just have a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
idea.
Some sort of draft contract, ownership of it. It sounds like we're gonna be, much like the park, we're gonna be sharing 2 pieces of property. We should get into that. So.
I sent to
For
Millie.
the park is,
Oh, yeah.
both pieces belong to us.
Yep, great. Thank you, guys. Kim, sorry, hold on 1 second, guys.
Obvious member here, but I just wanted to piggyback on what was already said in terms of the 2 potential projects. As far as I'm concerned, this is far superior and much more important than the big master project. This is for local commerce, it's for shellfish, it's for all of the greatest things of Block Island. And I don't care if we ever get a marina in the other lot. This is where the town's priority should be. So thank you for being so.
Yeah, just in case anybody listens, well, this is a priority for us. And it has been, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
That's great. Yeah, because I go to Kate's.
So, item 4.
Thank you.
Item 4, discuss scheduling a community meeting jointly with school committee regarding school construction. You guys will recall that a month ago, was it? But maybe it was more now. We had a conversation, right? Am I?
About the bid?
No, it wasn't about the bid, but I was, and you know, maybe you and I have been working on other stuff, but not this. I thought there was a consensus at a recent meeting when we were discussing this, that we need to have a broader conversation around, you know, where, when, whether, you know, probably, maybe it's 2 months. A number of people spoke at that meeting. It was very notional, but it just sort of, I think, argued to all of us that we don't do enough of sitting with the school committee and the community to talk about what the long-term needs might be, and developing consensus around those. And I know, yeah. Yeah.
When I saw construction on this, I immediately
Yeah,
went to that.
my fault.
No, I understand.
My fault. Sorry, I'm running in 50 different directions these days. I apologize. My fault. But Jess and I have talked about it. You know, like, I think many of us have talked about it. And I just wanted to put this on as a sort of, remember, we need to do this. So, Jess, I'd like to work with you and Millie and whomever, just to get this scheduled, get work on a relatively tight agenda, because it would be my hope that this would be, you know, not just a one and done, but an ongoing conversation about this stuff. Yeah, so that was where I was.
Yeah, my raising this was more just around communication in general.
Yeah.
So we had the asbestos issue.
Yes.
Which Molly and I both got stopped and we didn't
Yes.
know about it.
They
So
all did,
just
yeah.
how we make sure the communication is good through the town function and to the council to make sure we're not blindsided by stuff.
Yes.
Because I think Bob Girardi communicated to Tom, to you on the 18th, the 24th. I know nothing about it. I got stopped twice in a matter of 30 minutes and, you know, like, okay, and it's just so I can say, the school committees, let the town council, we're working on it. Then I feel like I can walk away, but to kind of be like, oh, I don't know, and then, you know, so whatever we can do to improve the communication there would be great.
Terrific.
Are we scheduling this or are we?
I assume Jess has to check and we have to check? Please, of course.
Come on up.
Do you want to have it here? Do you want to try to do something at the school? Do
Yeah,
you want to?
I think we should do it at the school.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have an objection about having it at the school, which
Okay.
is that you guys don't video your meetings.
Yep.
And so if the public wants to be part of this conversation or to hear part of this conversation, it has to be here.
Okay, great.
So
Fine by me.
I'm gonna just disagree with that for one sec, just because I'm not familiar with a lot of the school facility. So I don't know if that's, we're doing a walking tour, kind of like we're gonna do with the town council doing the Coast Guard station. If there's a piece of that to raise concern, again, being visual, it'd be nice to be like, you know, here's our learning lab. It's so far behind, you know, this is what it could look like.
So far behind, we don't have one.
Well, yeah, so there you go. And maybe that's something I just need to do myself with you guys. So I better understand what we're dealing with, because going into brainstorming when I don't even know what we're working from would be a challenge. So I guess it's
Why don't we schedule two things?
great.
Yeah, I would suggest that. And
Right,
also,
Because I get where you're coming from and I could use a memory refresh. So
the anytime you want to come for a tour, first of all, obviously, let us know. You're more than welcome. The school is where your financial town meeting is. So maybe we could even set up tours before the financial town meeting. I don't know if it's too late to do that, but if anybody is interested in the community, you want us to open the school early to do that, sure, we'd be happy to do that. We can get information out there. We also are, this is off the subject. I'm going to come back to the subject in a second, but tomorrow from 2:15 to 3, we're interviewing the first of our 3 superintendent candidates for next year, and it's open to the public.
Great.
So teachers and administration so if anybody wants to go to that, you're more than welcome. And to come back to your comments, as you know, this system in here was around $35,000, maybe a little bit more. We continuously prioritize. I've looked into getting a system at the school. We really need an audio system. The video system, we wouldn't need the big screen, but we'd need more. So probably to do it at least halfway decently so that people could hear us and we wouldn't be getting all that would probably be a one-time cost around $15,000 or $20,000. We'd also need to hire another clerk to be able to run the various issues because as you know, we only have one part-time clerk who just keeps minutes, doesn't have the knowledge to run the extra. And so we've been looking into it for 2 years. It's certainly on our thing, but as you know, we keep getting our budget cut and we have priorities just like you do. So we're doing our best and we'd love to get our meetings recorded and have them be out there so that more people can participate. And certainly heard that loud and clear since you were there. Have had that as a priority since before I was there. But the reality is it costs a lot of money to do it right. And we don't have the technology at our school, just like we don't have a learning lab. So
And do they have to take place at the school? Could you
What's
use
that?
this space?
they probably could take place here, but we would conflict almost always with one of your meetings or when they are, but
except the Mondays where we have meetings.
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Mary
But
Ann.
we, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good, so I think I heard tour meeting for those that need it, and then a broader brainstorming of what the future vision of the school needs, not really needs, because it's not facility necessarily, it's more directional stuff on making sure kids on Block Island are educated with the best.
I also think, by the
Plan.
way, one of the things that would be worthwhile, and I know you've done this, Jess, is looking at what schools look like on the mainland. Because there's a pretty bright line, particularly with the newer facilities, and what, sort of just as just sort of for background, it'd be interesting.
So if I can jump in really quickly here, I think, I've been at the school a number of times, I've gone there and I've had some background in education with school. I think what we need to do here in Block Island, which a lot of other schools on the mainland have done, and they're probably a step ahead of us, and I don't mean that in a critical sense.
Mhm.
I think we need to look at a broad-based education as what is the education tomorrow for Block Island? And that not only includes the infrastructure, but it also includes programmatic, and the programmatic piece is what's going to drive the facility. The facility is not everything, it's a big piece of it. But, Dan and I have had a couple of conversations already and we've had some ideas, but I think it's time that this town, like we've done with a lot of other stuff, is to sit down and have a big picture conversation. And a lot of the newer schools you're seeing at the, I know some communities are on their second. They did high schools, new high schools, now they're doing new middle schools. But I think it's time that the community, and it's a community-wide discussion because those buildings are community buildings.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned.
I think I. Anything off?